I don't have a script. What do I say?
Welcome to the Matt and Fiona show.
And we're back.
Woo!
No one's going to get that joke at all unless they watch Top Gear. And no one I know watches Top Gear. That's okay. All right. We are back after a minor, slightly longer than expected break, pause,
Hiatus.
sabbatical. I don't know. We got busy.
Time.
Stuff happens. Christmas, all that jazz. And all of a sudden it's March.
And here we are.
But notwithstanding, welcome to the Matt and Fiona show. We're really glad you're here. We are excited to be here. We are in a new space, which is exciting as well. And I will nitpick the lighting later, so don't do that.
Now they're going to do it.
No, they won't. That'll
Okay,
be fine.
fine. All right. Okay.
All right. We are going to kick off whatever episode this is because I don't remember and I didn't pull the spreadsheet.
No, that's okay.
It's in the 60s. High 60s, I think.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Just like the way I feel. All right. I don't have a title for this one. When you are watching this, we will have a title. It will be in the little card you saw.
We do know what we're talking about, though.
We do. Today, we're going to talk about 20 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Or 20 years to today. Not today. Wednesday. Tomorrow. 20 years tomorrow.
From today.
Gosh, I don't know. This is why we stopped trying to do these so late at night.
We're recording today, but it won't be posted today.
No.
So 20 years, middle of this month.
Middle of this month.
Yes.
Essentially, tomorrow, which she just sort of explained, is the day that we met, again, 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
20 years ago, tomorrow. There we go.
Yes.
Was the day we met at P.F. Chang's in New York.
Is that where we...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We saw each other at church, but we didn't.
No, because we went out Friday night.
No, we didn't.
Was it Saturday?
That was Saturday night.
Saturday.
You were...
It was 20 years ago, guys. Give me a break. Because we're old.
Did we need to refresh this before?
We probably should have refreshed it. Anyways, long and short.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Yeah, I guess we didn't talk.
No, we saw each other at church.
Okay. All right.
Because
I'll give you a pass.
Your dad, whatever.
Yeah, he was preaching.
So it was Saturday morning.
Okay.
For the meeting. And you were there and I was there. But we didn't officially meet.
That's true.
Until P.F. Chang's Saturday night.
Yes,
dinner.
in the Westchester Mall, which
in White Plains, New York.
Which I believe is still there.
Ooh.
And that is not any of my security questions. Nice try. Where did you meet your significant other? Yeah, no. Nuh-uh. Nice try.
Oh, got it. Okay. I don't use that one either.
Obviously, it was a life-changing event.
Obviously.
For both of us.
Obviously, 100%.
You realize your mic is here, right?
Sorry. Obviously, 100%.
Have you noticed it's been a minute? All right,
we're good, okay?
Mid. There we go.
We're going to just fix it up.
Yeah, we'll just adjust.
He's adjusting.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're kind of rehashing, thinking about a couple of things.
Yes.
Thinking about the things that mattered to us at that time.
Right.
And kind of through the early part of our relationship versus, 20 years down the road. We're coming up on, 18 years of marriage or 19 years?
19 years in a few months.
Yep. I should have known that ahead of time as well.
It's okay. I'll give him a pass.
We're being real, yo.
I'll give you a pass.
That's fine.
I know you love me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking at some of those things again because we're getting into one of these milestone eras, if you will, because, and again, I'm not saying anything about people who've been married less or longer, but 20 years is one of those things that you just go, wow, 20 years, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Or at least quick. I say that.
I say that. Goes by quick.
20 years since I met you, 3 kids later, no major animals or anything else down that weird vein.
I don't think that.
Sorry, I just did like 3 kids, 4 dogs, 4 houses. Like, no. Sorry.
3 kids is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. But there were a lot of things when we met, and if you've listened to anything we've ever talked about before, you do know a portion of our story,
Right.
or a lot of our story, depending on how much we've talked about it and how much you've consumed. But, I think back to when we met, and it was interesting for me because I had been traveling a lot with my dad.
Yep.
And he'd been preaching at a lot of churches. And if you are anywhere around most church worlds, if you're young and single and you go to multiple areas, everyone's trying to hook you up with somebody.
Yeah. Apparently there's interest.
I don't know if there's interest. It's what people do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had got to a point where I was really annoyed with that.
Right.
Because it had happened so much and so often that I had just kind of said no to the whole thing.
Right.
That I wasn't looking, I wasn't interested. I didn't want to meet the lovely lady that was in your church when I came to visit. Literally any church anywhere.
Nobody tried to hook us up. So.
No.
And I wanted nothing to do with anything at that point in time either.
I like the way she said anything, not just me.
Well, it's true.
It's valid.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was fun because neither of us were
interested,
searching.
Looking, searching.
Yeah, we weren't searching.
No, by no means.
So long and short, we kind of saw each other a little bit at church, but again, from a distance, and just noticing that there was a different person there.
Right.
And I had some friends from Pastor Ray's church.
Right.
From previous conferences and some of the conferences in Michigan that they had attended as a team, to where on Friday night, Saturday night, whatever.
It's okay.
It was 20 years ago, guys. I don't remember what last week. No, I do. Yeah, I do remember last week.
Yes.
I don't remember the week before.
I do.
Shut up.
Okay.
Focus, honey. Focus.
Sorry.
My gosh. It hasn't been that long. But we went to dinner.
Yep.
Not just us. There was a group of
There was like 16 of us.
16, 18 of us.
Yeah, there was a lot of us.
A bunch of us.
A lot of the young adults.
Yes, and we did a big family-style dinner at P.F. Chang's, and somebody ended up sitting between us, and you and I kind of talked around them like this the whole night.
Yes, we did.
Which was wonderful, and I don't think they appreciated it, but they also didn't offer to move. So
and it was not on purpose.
No, it wasn't. It was just... We just kind of connected.
Yes.
It was fun.
We did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hung out a little bit the rest of... Well, on Sunday, and went to the
Arthur
Bronx.
Avenue.
Yep, down to Arthur Avenue for Italian.
Absolutely.
And some of that good Arthur Avenue.
So good. And then we went to the movie. We went to Starbucks.
Gosh, we saw Medea.
My goodness, that's right. We went to the movies.
Yeah, we went to Starbucks. I convinced you I didn't know what it was.
Right. We went through a car wash.
We did. Again, there was 4 people in the car, or 5 people in the car.
Yes. Yeah.
So it wasn't just the 2 of us.
No. There was a whole bunch of us out the whole weekend.
But we did that. Went to the movies, and it was like a late afternoon movie. It wasn't late night.
No, literally, I think we got the car washed on the way to Arthur Avenue.
Yes, I don't know
Went
why.
to Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, which is about 30 minutes.
Had a late lunch, early dinner.
Late lunch.
Then we went to Starbucks. Everyone is gone at this point. They're not paying attention.
They're very,
as we're
very
rambling,
curious,
trying
right?
to remember 20 years ago. Anyways, all of that to
20
say,
years ago,
we developed a really good friendship.
Yes.
Kind of off that. That I was interested, but wasn't going to show it. I'm going to say you were interested, whether or not that's accurate.
I was curiously
I think she tolerated me.
Interested. I was curiously interested.
It's acceptable. Just admit it. But then we ended up talking on the phone a lot.
A lot.
Starting not right away. It was a couple of days. It was
a couple of days, yes. Not right away.
After
a week, we started talking a lot.
We started talking a little bit. And then we started talking even more and more and more. And that fostered again, I think kind of the foundation of what our relationship has been over
Yes,
these 20 years.
absolutely.
And I think that that was something that, as much as people kind of rag on long distance relationships, especially in that era,
Right.
not necessarily the time, but in that era, I really appreciated the long distance because video calling wasn't a thing,
Nope.
guys.
It wasn't.
It was straight up cell phones and T9 texting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was expensive.
Yes.
Like 10 cents a text.
Man, we had some brutal
We had
months.
some cell phone bills. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but it really helped us because we couldn't video chat and we couldn't FaceTime and do all those things that now are just commonplace.
Right.
It forced us to do a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
Really.
Which has honestly become a very big foundation of our.
Yeah, we talk a ton.
We talk all the time.
I know you're shocked.
About everything.
But it was really good because it meant that we got to know each other really, really, really well.
Yes.
Because when you're in love and you want to spend tons of time with the person that you're in love with, but you can't see them, you find things to fill time.
Yeah.
On the phone.
Yeah.
So it's not, you're not caught up in a lot of the normal things that I would, you don't do things together.
No.
At least we didn't because we couldn't.
Right.
Right. Because it was a day long drive or a flight.
I would have loved to.
Oh yeah. No, 100%.
I would have loved to,
but it's not like we went out on a date once a week.
Right.
And went to the movies.
Right.
Where we talk in the car to the movies, we watch the movie, and then we talk in the car back to drop somebody off. Mm-hmm. Right. We spent a lot of time
simply
just
talking,
chatting, and getting to know one another, and really just discovering who the other person was. And I think that served us really well once we actually got to spend some time together. Mm-hmm. And then once we got engaged and then subsequently got married, having that, like, we didn't get married and then we had to figure out how to live with one another, which again, we talked about a couple of times, but we spent a lot of, we didn't have to spend as much time getting to know each other once we got married.
And because of that, by the time we got married, we already knew how to communicate with each other. Yeah. Yeah. Because we had, even though, we met in March.
We should run the numbers sometime on phone.
Oh, geez. We met in March, and by the following year, July, so March, April, May, June, July. So 16 months later, we were married. But in that 16 months, we had established such a great relationship that by the time we got married, communication was a firm foundation.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't perfect because it never is.
No.
And it's still not. Right.
But it was a formed habit in our relationship with everything we had done.
Yeah. Talking about stuff, talking through life, talking about your day. It was just commonplace.
So one of the things that I'm about to. So one of the things that we were talking about in relation to this that you briefly alluded to in the beginning is, now that we've known each other for 20 years, what prior to meeting, obviously, many people have, their checklist or their prayer list or whatever you have about who you want in a spouse. Right. Right. What you expect, almost like your wish list to God about, Lord, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm believing for. And out of those items on those lists was, what of those factors do we find that we were wanting back then still matter today? Mm-hmm. And we are grateful that we were very firm with those list items, so to speak. And what items don't necessarily matter that we thought could have held some more weight, right? Yeah. So, this is just a simple one, and everybody's different. This is just a conversation that we had about, our marriage and relationship and growth and whatnot. And I would say, for me, I wanted somebody who was committed to their pastor and who was highly involved in ministry, not thinking that they would be part of a ministry family. That was not on my list.
Are you saying I'm highly involved in my...
But I wanted somebody who God and the things of God were a solid part of your life.
Right.
I didn't want somebody wishy-washy. I wanted somebody dedicated. Like, I had already made the decision. Church doors were open. I'm going to be at church, right? That sort of thing. I would have never been happy with a Sunday-only Christian, right? Like, I was already involved in things within the church, and I wanted somebody who was equally involved.
Valid point.
Right? My expectation was here, and you were, definitely up there. Nothing wrong with that. Always better to be ahead than behind.
Ahead of the curve, yeah.
Sure. And one of the, and this is maybe a silly thing, but whatever it is, what it is. One of the things I'd always expected, I was like, I want somebody who is older than me, because I thought that age equaled maturity.
Lucky for you, I'm 65.
Well, so we've discussed previously, we've got a 5.5-year age difference with him being the younger one. And I would argue to say that my idea of age was not a factor that mattered. However, to the point I just made, I do think maturity is.
Yeah.
Because your age, according to my scale, was not... did not add up to the maturity that I would have expected. It exceeded it. Let me clarify, okay? But there was a maturity in your, honestly, in just about every area, because like you said, you're 65.
Yeah.
But I would say that was one thing on my list, that age, I know some people have large ranges or small ranges of what they want in age, and I'm not saying throw that out completely, but I think there's a maturity aspect.
Yeah.
From my point of view, that mattered more so than the fact that you were, if I just looked at age, I would have walked away.
Well, and I think especially at that time and age.
Well, yes, because it was 21 and almost 27.
Yeah. It's way more noticeable than today when you can do the math. I'm not doing it for you. But when I sit here at 41? Yes.
Yes, correct.
65, it's fun.
Although now you're probably pushing 70, but that's cool.
Shut it.
Anyway.
It really doesn't. Today
age.
The last 5 years, 10 years before, that 5-year difference, even though it's there, it doesn't even come up.
No.
Like I never think about the fact that you are older, except when somebody figures out how old you are.
Right.
And they go, whoa, really?
Right.
And when they figure out that I'm 65, they're shocked. Whoa. And then it makes sense because they've talked to me. But I think that for me, and I probably should have had a list and I probably didn't, but anything that was frivolous or silly or, like outwardly based.
Right.
That mattered at the time definitely doesn't matter now.
No, absolutely not.
The biggest things that matter today are the fact that you're still the same principled girl/woman.
Right.
That I met. You're the incredibly strong, and don't take this the wrong way, but opinionated person. Right? Like we are both very strong personalities, and we're very strong in what we believe.
Right.
And again, whether that is religious, personal, parenting, health, like it just all aspects.
And I'm just going to say this. I'm going to interrupt you.
Go for it.
Where you stand, and obviously we didn't have kids when we first got married.
No.
But we knew we had wanted to. But having a discussion about how many kids we wanted, what we expected, how we thought we were going to raise our kids,
Oh, yeah. We had that early on.
We had that early, knowing that our viewpoint, again, because we are so, as you said, opinionated or strong-willed in that regards, I think that mattered. And knowing that our viewpoints and our path were both parallel in those areas.
Well, they were very similar.
That's what I mean, right? They were side by side. Yeah. And I think that once we became parents, that has been, we've become paramount. A great team in that regard.
Yeah.
Because we walk the same line with our parenting.
Well, we're very simpatico in those. Right. And again, like, we're not completely lockstep. Don't make it weird.
And we've also obviously grown in that, and we have
100%.
shifted along the way, and our viewpoints have changed.
Yeah, we've evolved a little bit.
Right. But the basis of who we are, what we expected, and what we wanted.
Yeah.
There were similarities in that even prior to us getting married, which I do feel is,
Well, and again, we had a lot of those discussions really early on.
Yes, we did.
And, I don't remember if you said it or if I said it way, way back. It might have even been before we visited one another the first time. Or, excuse me, after the first visit.
Right.
Right, where we met. We had a lot of really serious, in-depth life conversations about what we viewed our future as.
Yes.
And where we thought that was going to go and what that looked like. Because whether it was me or whether it was you, I don't remember. And it doesn't matter. But we were quite open about the fact that we were not trying to, like, we were happy being friends, but if we were going to take it any further, it wasn't going to be super casual.
Right.
It was purposed.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
By having a lot of those really deep and complicated questions.
Yeah.
Right?
We were very straight with one another.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Everything was up front.
Yes.
Because it's meant that, not that we haven't had any surprises, but
there are always surprises, but
it's been very, like, when something out of the blue happens, I kind of already know what your response is going to be.
Right.
You already know what mine's going to be.
We can walk hand in hand because we addressed a lot of this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We knew kind of where we stood in some of the very major topics of where I envisioned my future and where he envisioned his future.
We talked about all the things you're not supposed to talk about. Religion, politics.
But those are the things.
The list is long.
Right. But those are the things that if you're potentially trying to build a foundation, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Right. If you didn't want kids and I wanted 10, well,
that was going to be problematic.
That was going to be problematic, and don't want to find that out after.
Well, I think the big thing, again, looking back, and as I've watched some other people that we know and some of our friends, they've got kids that are now at this, maybe not serious dating age, but they're all getting close.
Right.
Because we had kids a little bit later than a lot of our friends.
Yes.
I'm watching some of these people start to walk this line out, right? And it becomes one of those things of they're having a lot of fun just getting to casually know different people. And my question always comes back to not that we didn't casually get to know each other, because we did.
Yes.
But because, again, we were forced/blessed to not have all the technology.
Right.
We didn't sit on FaceTime.
We couldn't scan each other's Facebook to find out what was going on, or the Instagram, or.
But even to the point of we couldn't put on FaceTime as we're sitting at a restaurant eating salad with somebody else.
Right.
Right. And have you join us where you don't talk about anything because you're with somebody else, but you've got your friend on FaceTime.
Right.
Right. We were forced to chat and talk and get to know one another. And because we both were, again, a little strong-willed, we made it a point to discuss some of the important things.
Right.
And again, I think that has been a huge factor in helping us continue to grow in our relationship.
So one of the last things that...
It's the last thing I had to say.
Well, I'm going to say one more thing. I think one of the very important things is throughout all of this, I never had to change any part of who I was for you. And you never had to change any part of who you were for me.
Right.
And in fact, I felt more comfortable in who I was around you, and hopefully vice versa. But then so we wound up pulling, I would say, the strengths from each other to build each other up. But never once did I feel as though I need to shift or change any part of who I was or what I believed and what I stood for to be able to make this work.
Right.
Not at all. I felt, and I remember having a conversation at one point and spoke to somebody, and I was like, I feel completely different when I'm with you when we first met. And they were trying to tell me that that is a bad thing. And I was like, no, you don't understand. For the first time in my life, I can be 100% who I am.
Right.
Because you fully accepted me for every view, every opinion, every quirk, every weird moment of my life.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, but I didn't have to shift or change or conform to be what he needed me to be. And you didn't need to change, shift, or conform who you were. You know, and I always joke because you'll do something and I'll be like, it reminds me of literally that first weekend 20 years ago of this moment that you did this or this moment that you did that, because exactly who you were then is, we've obviously matured and grown and have evolved in a good way. But the core of who you are and who I am, all we've done is elevate that within ourselves. We have not had to shift and change who we are. Because I do think that, you know, here's the thing. God created each and every one of us to be who we are meant to be. So when we do come to a point where we meet somebody, we need who God created us to be enhanced by that person, not changed. Nobody should change us. Only God should be able to do that. But if a person in your life can enhance who God created you to be, I think that is a very important item to be aware of when you are considering living life with someone.
Yeah, very much so.
Right? So that's
it? You good?
I think so. I don't know. I probably could keep going, but
good.
I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can connect with us via all the socials that you'll see below. And stay tuned because we'll be back with another episode, hopefully next week.
That's the plan.
As we're kicking back off season 2. I guess we'll call it season 2.
Sure.
Why not?
Let's do it.
It'll
Season 2.
Yeah, we're never doing that again. All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you on the next episode of The Matt and Fiona Show.
Bye now.